Hello everyone and welcome to my first ever Smash or Pass. No, not that stupid couples game. This is a way I review games to see whether they're worth playing or not. So let's get down to it. Today I'm looking at For Honor, the third-person medieval fighting game made by Ubisoft, where there are three factions, knights, vikings and samurais, that are all fighting for territory. Straight off the bat there is a cool cutscene setting the tone, and then the game forces you to choose your main faction. This will be the faction you'll be part of during the territory wars in multiplayer, but more on that later. The game includes a story mode which can be played with 1 or 2 players. I don't have any footage of the cooperative story because I have no friends that have the game, so I'm not sure if anything differs from the single player story. As for the story itself, well, it seems very quick and basic. There are 3 chapters, each representing a different faction, with 6 levels in each chapter. You go to an area, kill enemies, and move on. Your character will change as the story progresses, which I liked as it introduced the different playable characters from the multiplayer and their different moves. However, not all of them are playable, which I feel is a missed opportunity. As for difficulties, there are 4 different types: easy, normal, hard and realistic. The harder the difficulty, the more experience you earn. This really depends on the skill of the player, but I've found these difficulties not too challenging. Even the realistic difficulty that takes away your HUD and pretty much sends you back to the beginning of the stage if you die wasn't too tricky with a bit of thought. With patience, good reactions and an infinite amount of healing power-ups, the game becomes fairly easy and can be completed within 9 hours. There are also a certain amount of collectibles and observables in each level, which reward you with backstory information and steel. Steel being the main currency in multiplayer. The gameplay is varied from the standard fighting in certain parts of the campaign, such as a horse chase scene and fighting off wolves during a boss fight. The game clearly wants you to focus your time mainly on multiplayer though. Hell, it's even above the story in the main menu. Right, so if multiplayer is the main focus of the game, how does it rate? Well, going back to factions, there is a constantly changing map where players attack and defend segments with war assets they earn from playing matches. At the end of each round and season, each faction earns rewards depending on where they placed in the territory war. I really like how the game punishes players if they choose to switch factions by not rewarding the player, meaning you won't earn rewards by changing to the winning faction. However, I was completely involved with the war until it became tedious and a drag winning segments of the map just to lose them in the space of an hour. So it basically comes down to luck of who happens to have the most territories at the end of the timer. When it comes to gameplay, fighting can be insanely intense, especially if you're outnumbered by other players. The combat system works incredibly well, and I personally haven't seen anything like it before. When fighting a person directly, if you win, it feels well deserved, and if you lose, it can really seem like it was your fault. However, there are things that can be completely abused, such as the environment deaths. These will annoy players more than anything in this game. The amount of drops, fire, spikes and geysers in the maps are a bit too excessive in my opinion. It's as if the game doesn't want you to actually kill your opponent with skill and just throw the poor swords off a cliff instead. Even though you can counter throws, it still doesn't make them less annoying when your body is launched and stuck to a wall of spikes like a kebab. I initially thought throws were to be used strategically and that you could choose what style of play you wanted, i.e. whether to throw them a short distance to get back into the fight quicker, or to throw them further away to get some breathing space if you're getting a beating. But now I feel it's just so you can throw the corpse down a mountain from even further away. Other than that, the combat is fluent and well done. I also like the variety within the 12 maps. Each incorporates different times of day and weather changes, so even when you play the same map it still feels fresh. As for game modes, the game comes with... No, that can't be right. 5 game modes. 1v1, 2v2, Dominion and 2 death matches? For a game based mainly on multiplayer, that seems a bit unacceptable to me. It would have been interesting to see a game mode where one team has to attack the other team's castle or fort or whatever, or a mode where the three factions fight against each other, like it shows in the opening cutscene. Since choosing a faction at the beginning of the game doesn't mean you can only choose characters within that faction. You can be a Viking fighting for the samurais, which doesn't make sense in terms of story, but makes sense to allow players to use different characters from each faction. Speaking of unacceptable, it's a shock to see a lack of dedicated service for a skill-based game, where every move can determine life or death. That just baffles me in my opinion. If you don't want to play against other players for whatever reason, the game allows you to choose between PvP and PvAI, so you can still experience multiplayer without being with other people. I suppose this can allow players to practice fighting bots to get used to the game before fighting people. Speaking of practice, there are 2 tutorials, a basic and advanced, free play, and videos for each character portraying the different moves and combos. It's all detailed and well presented. Players can also set up their own custom games, allowing them to choose the amount of bots they fight, their skill level, where the fight takes place and how many rounds they play. You get the choice of 1 round, 3 rounds, 5 rounds, and holy crap, 99 rounds? I'm gonna be a grandparent by the time that game's finished. But it's a good way to test out the different aspects in a controlled environment. So how fair is the game? Well, in a one-on-one fight it's very much evenly matched. Even when 2 people team up against you, you are able to defend against both attackers if you have good reaction times, and what's more, you are awarded revenge mode a lot faster. Friendly fire is also on, so teammates are able to damage one another if they aren't careful. Revenge mode, when activated, gives you a health boost and a damage increase whilst knocking down any players that tried attacking you as you activate it. It can really turn the tables from defense to attack in seconds. However, when you're fighting 3 or 4 enemies on your own, your chances of winning become less favourable, even with revenge mode and friendly fire. In a custom match I put on the highest damage possible called lethal and tried an experiment. I found it took 1 heavy attack to kill an opponent or 2 light attacks. So what happens when I hit my teammate? Surely they'll also suffer, right? What the hell was that? That was pathetic. I get it. It's so teammates can't become the subject of grief like in some shitty 2012 trolling montage, but friendly fire may as well be turned off. Other than the gameplay, the multiplayer has a decent character customization. I for one love customization, but here it seems fairly basic and standard stuff. You can change gender for some characters, change what material they are wearing, and what paint pattern and colours are being used in different areas of the character. However, the problem I find with the customization is that the highest level pattern unlock looks just as generic and bland as the ones from the beginning. There is no real sense of reward or distinction for leveling up a character. So how do I rate For Honor? Well, I like the combat system and the whole prospect of the 3 factions fighting each other for survival. It is a genuinely good concept. However, the lack of content and crappy servers has shown a poor execution on Ubisoft's part. So For Honor does not actually get smashed or passed. It is getting friend-zoned. I like the game, and I see it having a good future, but I wanted that future to be in the game from the beginning, and not in the season pass.
You pushed me.
But she's playing hard to get. A brunette with such class, she's hard to forget. See, at first I wasn't after her heart, but couldn't stop thinking about her after I left.
Even when 2 people team up against you, you are able to defend against both attackers if you have good reaction times and Really? Are you kidding me? You have to do this right now while I'm recording a goddamn video!